What is going on? AFC East Roundtable. We're back on the Jets Roundtable and joined by my good buddy, Mr. Matt O'Leary himself. Sorry for the delay. But we're live, Matt. It's no victory that we can talk about. It's an L, but good thing is Rodgers is still with us, and that's what I keep saying, man. I mean, that's the one thing I was nervous about the most just because of the trauma we went through last year. But Matt, welcome back to the Jets Roundtable. I'm excited to break down what we saw this past week with the Jets and the Niners with you, man.
Yeah, me too. Excited to chop it up as always here on the AFC East Roundtable channel and on the Jets Roundtable now. Yeah, a little frustrating. I'm sure we'll get into the frustration, but some positives to take out of it as well. Rodgers' health, I thought, was one of them, and old man can still throw the rock, dude. He was spinning it.
And Allen Lazard is top 5 receiver in football. So that's my biggest takeaways from week 1. Enjoy the show, and we're going to get out of here. Just kidding. Totally joking. Relax, chat. But, guys, this show is being brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook. If you guys want to sign up for BetUS, you guys can use the code YouTube150 for a 150% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. We'll hear from BetUS later on in the show to see what the odds are looking like. Now, the first thing we have to talk about, Matt, is that the New York Jets are 0-1, and the rest of the division is 1-0. What's your thoughts of that? What's your thoughts of the Patriots upset win, the Bills and the Dolphins getting their W's before we get into our Jets?
Yeah, so for a while during the 1 o'clock game, the Patriots surprisingly dominated that game. Although Cincinnati always starts slow. I think that was something we talked about last week on the show, was like Bengals better roster, obviously better team, but they always start slow. Maybe something weird happens. But Jaguars got out to a big lead. The Cardinals got out to a lead, and at first it was looking like, hey, like maybe the Jets will get some help from the Cardinals and from the Jaguars, and then comeback wins for both those teams. Bills ended up winning pretty comfortably. Dolphins on a last-second field goal, and now after week 1, Jets in last place. So obviously got to hit the panic button and cancel the season now. You know, they gave it a good run, but try again next year.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted, guys. Jet season's over. Let's fire Saleh today. Let's bench Rodgers and put Tyrod in for the season, and it's just over, guys. Come on, Jets fans. We're better than this. I can't believe, Matt, that we have fans just writing the season off already. Like, I get it. We're frustrated with the loss, but I don't know about you, Matt. I knew that this game, win or loss, was not going to determine the season. What was going to determine the season for me is if we stayed healthy at week 1, and we did. And we heard Coach Saleh say that he feels better right now at 0-1 with Rodgers than 1-0 last year without him. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would. It was fun to get that win. I'm sure, I mean, you know, you were in the building. It was an electric atmosphere, but that we were kind of just waiting for the other shoe to drop and to get the official word that Rodgers would be out. And that's exactly what happened the day after. So it would have been yesterday, a year ago. On the Tuesday after the game, we find out that Rodgers is in fact going to have the Achilles surgery. We know he tried to come back, the whole thing. But, yeah, they're 0-1 right now. The 49ers, they've been in the NFC Championship game the last 4 years. They were in the Super Bowl last year. They're a great team. That doesn't excuse some of the things that happened in this game and some of the frustration, but I think you could justify it a little bit and come to grips with the loss. It's not like they got, blown out by, I don't know. We just talked about Arizona, so I'll use them as the example. If they lost 32-19 to Arizona, I think we'd be a lot more frustrated today. I wish they were more competitive in this game, but not super surprising that they lost.
Yeah, and I know that, the AFC East rivals, the Dolphins fans, the Bills fans, I mean, of course, the Patriots fans now, they're going to talk their smack, as they should. They won week 1. We did not. But I just keep coming back to all right, Dolphins fans and Bills fans, you won a game you're supposed to win. Congratulations. You were home, and you were the favorites, and you won the game. Not convincingly, by the way. And the Jets, that was the hardest game that we're going to have all season long, okay? So now it's up to this Jets team to face adversity and go on the road in Tennessee and get the W. We're going to get into that, of course, more in detail. But listen, the Miami Dolphins, they went out there and they faced off with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were losing the entire game until Javon Holland came into there and just punched that ball out, took Travis Etienne's lunch money. And right when they fumbled at the goal line, Matt, I knew the Dolphins were going to win that game. I was like, dude, that is a back-breaking play, a difference maker. The momentum shifted in the Miami Dolphins' favor, and they just took it and ran with it. And listen, it's not about how you win, it's about if you win. And that's exactly what the Dolphins did. So tip your caps to the Miami Dolphins. Buffalo Bills, same thing. Did not start off the season or the game rather great, but they were able to get the job done and get the W. That's all that matters. And the Patriots, they're a team that's built to pull off some upsets and with a strong run game and elite defense. And that's what they did against the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll see what they look like this week against the Seahawks. But I want to get more into this Jets 49ers game from your perspective, Matt. We've had a long, few days now. We had all day yesterday to kind of let this game marinate and digest. I first want to talk about Aaron Rodgers because we finally saw a full game of Aaron Rodgers. We saw what he looks like in a Jet uniform. We saw him complete a pass, Matt. We saw him complete a drive. And then we saw him throw a touchdown as a Jet. And then more importantly, we saw him finish the game healthy. So what was your biggest takeaways from Aaron Rodgers in his first game as a New York Jet healthy?
Yeah, for me, my first holy shit moment was on the free play where he just launched the bomb to Alan Lazard. And on that drive before that, he had a beautiful pass to Lazard on the left sideline. And, the fade to Garrett Wilson on third down and converting some third downs on the way on that drive before the Breece Hall touchdown was really impressive. But the Jets never get anything off those free plays ever. They just don't have the quarterback who takes those shots. And
now we do.
Now you do. And you saw the connection that Lazard has with Aaron Rodgers. He was frustrating because he had that drop on third down that would have, extended a drive and kept things going. Unfortunately, the Jets punt away, but he ends up with 2 touchdowns and like 80 yards receiving. So he turned it around. I think he's going to be very streaky for the Jets, which is a little bit frustrating, but clearly has some connection going on with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and I also feel like after that Lazard drop on that first drive, every Jets fan was pissed off, including myself, and I kept harping on it. I'm like, dude, Lazard, you're a bum. Like, catch the ball. And I'm like, you know what? Like, Lazard better make up for this because the one thing I do know is Rodgers is not going to stop throwing him the ball. Like, that drop is not going to be like, all right, I'm not throwing the ball to Lazard anymore. He's not good. Rodgers is going to keep feeding Lazard, and he did all night long. And then even when Tyrod came in the building and the garbage time, he found him for a touchdown. And I'm not going to sit here and start singing the Lazard praise. I think I need to see more from him before I can expect that. But if you just look at the stats, Matt, 6 catches, 80-something yards, and 2 touchdowns. Like, if Garrett Wilson did that, for example, we'd be saying he's the best receiver in the game. But at the end of the day, Lazard, if he can keep becoming reliable and just pick up those crucial yards, and if he has a drop like that, can he bounce back and answer it, then I'll be okay with that. Now, we saw a stat on Twitter come out there from the 33rd football team, ranking the New York Jets as the second best offensive line in pass protection after week number 1. Now, if you're a Jets fan, this is like, what? You know what I mean? Like, we're not used to that. All right, so what's your thoughts of the Jets being second in the NFL in pass protection? We all know that we need the running attack to get better, but what are your thoughts of this? Because it seems like the New York Jets offensive line kept Aaron Rodgers upright, and after watching the film this morning, he just took 2 hits all night long.
Yeah, I was impressed with them in pass protection. I want to make that distinction because their run blocking was really bad. They got bullied in the run game, both on the offensive line and defensive line. But in terms of pass protection, I think they passed their first test, especially going up against a really strong defensive line. We know how good Nick Bosa is. And, Tyron Smith got, called for a holding, which is going to happen. But all in all, I thought he was able to operate out of a clean pocket, which was huge. In the limited time we saw him in week 1, he was pressured on every single drop back. He dropped back 3 times in the game and was pressured on each one of those. So I'm happy to see that kind of production, honestly, out of the offensive line from a pass perspective. So the run game, I'm confident that they'll get up to speed. There's too much talent on that offensive line for them not to eventually get up to point. But the question that I had was going to be pass pro, and they passed their first test.
I agree, man. And if I would say what I prefer, pass protection or run blocking, it's definitely pass protection. But that's no excuse for this run blocking because, Matt, going into the season, I thought that the run blocking is going to be a big strength based off the revamped offensive line. And rewatching the tape, it's just like schematically it looks like it's broken, especially when you're facing the 49ers and you watch their offense and you see their scheme from a run game perspective. And then you watch the Jets just keep running the same exact play over and over again. And the offensive line just collapses, and there's just nowhere for Breece to run. Frustrating stuff, but we'll talk about it. Craig with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Craig. Ha ha, Richie. Uh-oh, this isn't good.
I thought I started clapping prematurely.
Right?
Sorry.
Yeah, take the claps away for this guy. Thought the Jets were going to keep it close. A-Rod looks washed. As TD said, you can't say anything about Miami. Tell Dan I'm back. Fins up. Listen, bro, you barely beat the Jaguars. You're lucky that Javon Holland saved the day and your defense saved the day because you were losing the entire game. Congrats. You won a game you're supposed to win. And listen, Aaron Rodgers, did he look washed to you, Matt, on Monday?
No, I know people are going to just look and see the passing yards and go, oh, man, like clearly it wasn't effective. But they only threw the ball 21 times. They didn't have the ball at all. The time of possession difference was really frustrating, and it happened because, Breece Hall fumble and Allen Lazard drop. There was the interception. It was a tipped ball. It's not like he just stared down a linebacker and threw it right to him. Not all interceptions are written equally. He averaged 8 yards per attempt. I thought he was fine. Again, we'll see him with a bigger sample size going forward. They also took him out the final drive, which in garbage time, I'm sure he would have stat padded a little bit even more there and got up over 200. And maybe he hits on a touchdown to Lazard and he finishes with 2 touchdowns on the day. But Aaron Rodgers, if I'm listing out things that worried me or things that frustrated me, I don't think Aaron Rodgers cracks the top 20 from this game.
Yeah, man. It was like coming away from that game, the last thing I'm thinking to myself is, oh, man, Rodgers sucks. I mean, come on, bro. The way we lost this game is very simple. The defense gave up 8 scoring drives in a row. That is the way we lost this game. And the 49ers offense controlled the clock all night long. Okay, that is the issue. It's that simple, right? Like the biggest thing I noticed in the game, Matt, with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter, the 49ers got the ball and they milked the clock all the way down at halftime and they kicked the field goal. 49ers get the ball at half and then they have a 7-minute long drive and score a touchdown. They scored 10 points and had the ball for 13 straight minutes in terms of game clock because of halftime. How do you expect to win the game if our offense and Aaron Rodgers is on the sideline, ice cold, can't get into a rhythm? And it's so frustrating because especially after that Allen Lazard touchdown that Rodgers had, it's like, okay, now we have some offensive firepower, another good drive, just like we did early on in the first quarter. Now let's go get a stop on defense and try to get this ball back and make this a football game. And the defense goes back out there after Rodgers throws a touchdown to Lazard, 7-minute drive again. Like, they couldn't get off the field. And it's infuriating for me because us Jets fans, we hold this defense in this like expectation that like they're supposed to be the top in the league. And that's the reason. The reason for that is the last 2 years they were at the top of the league. So we have every reason to believe that. So I think that's how we lost this game, man. The defense just simply could not get off the field. And usually it's the opposite. Usually it's the defense keeping us in games and the offense is the one that just gets 3 and out left and right.
Yeah, it's I think that's what made it frustrating is because there was some potential shown with the offense in this game. They ended up scoring 3 touchdowns, which I don't really remember how many times the Jets scored 3 touchdowns last year. It's not something we usually see. They'd get one, kick a couple field goals, and hope and pray they would win the game that way. So that added to it. But in this one, the run defense was a real issue. San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan does a great job scheming for both the passing attack and the run game, but his bread and butter is the run game, and they outmanned the Jets, plain and simple. That there's no excuses to make. It's just they were not good enough, especially on the defensive line. I thought they got pushed around a ton, which was really disappointing for me.
Yeah, and like what happened? I mean, like the crazy thing about this game too, Matt, is when I rewatched the film this morning, the defense, and it's just 2 drives, but they looked elite in the first 2 drives. Like 3 and out, 3 and out. And we're like, all right, this defense is good to go. That's why when we scored that touchdown in the first quarter with Rodgers, when we went up 7-3, I was like, bro, we just won the game. Our defense is like, coming off 2 3 and outs, and then Rodgers is cooking and dealing like that. Like, obviously I was premature to think that, but it was just frustrating that after that touchdown that the Jets had on offense, the defense just gave up 8 straight scoring drives. What do you think went wrong with the defense? Was it just a lack of preparation? A lack of motor? We got outcoached? Was it just was it a scheme issue? Was it energy, effort? Like, what went wrong with this defense? And do you think that this is something that's going to get fixed? Robert Saleh seems to be very confident that this defense is going to get fixed.
Yeah, he said that last year after the Dallas game, and then they went out the next week and allowed just 15 points to New England, and that's really when their defense got into gear. So I think he deserves a little bit of the benefit of the doubt with the defense, but I think part of it was scheme, and I don't want to take away from San Francisco because they're a really good team and they're very well coached, but the Jets kept going very light. It felt like they did a lot. They being the 49ers ran a lot of 2 tight end sets, or had Kyle Juszczyk, their fullback, on the field, and the Jets kept their 3 corners out there in the nickel package, and was just I think they could have used another linebacker at times or added another safety instead of having the 3 corners out there. And I think the 49ers were able to take advantage of that. The Jets, I think, sometimes get a little bit too stubborn. They think like, okay, like this is how our defense has worked. And a lot of times it does work, but I think they're not willing to adjust quick enough. And in a circumstance like that, when a team has a bigger running back and they're just essentially running, outside zone after outside zone, daring you to make a play and you're not able to, I think that's when you have to adjust a little bit.
Yeah, and this has to be a wake-up call because I feel like, especially on the from a defense standpoint for the Jets, like just because we were dominant for 2 years defensively does not guarantee we'll be dominant again this year. And we need to make sure that they like come out there in Tennessee and I want this to be a defensive, like I want this defense to tee off against Will Levis. Like I need to see a defensive dominant game. Like I need 4 or 5 sacks. I need an interception. I need something, Matt, because this defense was disappointing. And I'm happy that you mentioned last year, remember, we won week 1, and then we're going into Dallas. In Dallas, we're 1-0. Zach Wilson's the quarterback, and our defense got killed that game in Dallas. And then, we're 1-1 with Zach Wilson, so we're not feeling great. And then a lot of people were saying this Jets defense is overrated. The Dallas Cowboys got the better of our defense. They were marching down the field. They were dinking and dunking. They were running the football a lot with Pollard, who we're going to have to deal with this Sunday. And then, like you mentioned, the next week, the Jets gave up just 15 points, and the defense still became one of the league's best. So, I just want everybody to just remind themselves that just because the Jets defense got gashed against one of the league's best offenses at week 1 on the road does not mean we're going to see that every single week. Okay, the best defense in the league have bad days. The best offenses in the league have bad days. The best quarterbacks in the league have best days. That's why week 1 is just an overreaction. If you look bad, everyone's going to magnify it, make it seem like you're the worst team in the league. If you look great, people are people going to think the Saints are going to the Super Bowl because they beat up on the Panthers? I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's overreaction time for week 1, and it's up to this Jets football team to figure themselves out and get over the hump. Glenn, $10 super chat, great member of the roundtable. Jets did not lose the game because of Rodgers. There is some things to worry about. Why was all the passes thrown to 3 guys? Why was most of those passes on the left side of the field, pass to the right? Great point there, Glenn. Thank you for the $10 super chat, man. He's a Dolphins fan, and he says this game was not on Rodgers. And if you think this game was on Rodgers, you're just hating. Let's be honest with ourselves. But yeah, Rodgers completed a pass to 3 receivers, I believe the least amount in his entire career, Matt. Do you want to see him start spreading the ball around? All we saw was Lazard, Wilson, and Hall get the ball from Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, for me, a little bit of a personnel issue. They were in some questionable, they were in some questionable formations with different personnel. For instance, there's a play that sticks out to me where they went 4 wide, and 3 of those 4 guys, obviously Garrett Wilson was one of them, but the other 3 was Allen Lazard, Tyler Conklin, and Jeremy Ruckert. Like, they went with 2 tight ends lined up as wide receivers and Allen Lazard as the other receiver. Mike Williams, who's supposed to be their number 2, is being brought back slowly. So we're going to see a lot of Allen Lazard right now, but there's no reason to not mix in Gibson or Malachi Corley, or specifically Tyler Conklin, who wasn't really a factor at all in this game from a passing perspective. I definitely think that's something that needs to change. I thought him and Ruckert had their moments in the run game. I know that like the Jets run numbers weren't pretty, but there were some plays that I thought they performed well on. But I do agree that they need to spread the ball around. In the first half, it was pretty much exclusively just Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. And yes, they're going to carry this team, but you need to show a little bit more depth than that.
Yeah, I agree. And Rodgers also threw the ball only to the left side. I think that's just happened to happen that way. It was also limited opportunities for Rodgers, only 21 pass attempts. Another thing that was frustrating was the run pass. Like, I need to see a different model to start off the game. I don't want to see them adjust when we're losing. Like, okay, now we're losing. Now we have to pass on first down. Everyone is going to expect that. Like, what was your thoughts of the Jets just trying to run the ball on first down? It would fail. Second down, it would fail. And then it would set up third and long. Luckily, on that touchdown drive in the first quarter, Rodgers completed 3 third downs, I believe, all to Garrett Wilson. Like, I don't really know what to expect from this offense schematically and play calling wise with Hackett. Like, how do I believe that they're going to figure themselves out? And now they have to go into Tennessee, a defense that did not give up one offensive touchdown and still somehow lost last week.
Yeah, I mean, the Tennessee defense, I think, is a good one. I think they're an above average unit, and they showed that in week 1. From the Jet side of things, it was really frustrating to see the repetition, and that was a concern that I had. And I'm hoping maybe Aaron Rodgers takes a little bit more control, and they check out of some of these run plays that they have on early downs. Maybe as they get a little bit more comfortable and they get into a rhythm, he will be willing to do that more. But even just only using Breece Hall, like Braylon Allen didn't see the field until the final drive when, the game was already over and they put Tyrod Taylor in. I think you have to mix in your second running back much earlier than what they did. It was a bizarre game plan from the Jets offensively. I didn't really care for it.
Yeah, and it's just frustrating too because Breece Hall is so dynamic. And like every time you see him get the ball, you just see no holes for him to like explode through. Like it's just so frustrating that we have this elite level talent. And the Jets got to get creative. They got to find ways to get Breece the ball with space. Same thing with Garrett Wilson. Like that touchdown drive that we saw that ended in a Breece Hall touchdown. It was just so brilliant. It was just magnificent. Like even that throw to Garrett Wilson at the goal line that almost got a touchdown. I love that play. Conklin was phenomenal on that rep with the blocking, taking 2 defenders out. Garrett Wilson cut up the field, almost scored a touchdown. Like, we need to see more of that. I also noticed Rodgers is just really getting rid of that ball fast. And I think that really goes into why the pass protection numbers were through the roof. Rodgers was getting rid of the ball fast, efficient, early, often, quick release. And that's why I feel like even though he's 40 years old and obviously his mobility and his athleticism is no longer strength, his ability to process things quickly at the line of scrimmage and get rid of the ball fast is going to go in our favor. So, like, what's your expectations for the offense against this Titans defense on the road this week? Like, do you think this is a game where we can look at this offense and be like, okay, this is the time to like unlock themselves a little bit? Because as much as the Tennessee Titans defense is like good, it's not the 49ers defense that we just faced, for being honest with ourselves.
Yeah, there's levels to it, right? Like the 49ers have one of the best defenses, and Fred Warner, I thought, really did a good job of wrecking.
Oh, he was an animal.
Game. Yeah, he was unbelievable in that game, which, I mean, to me, best linebacker in football, and I think he showed why in week 1. Just from this perspective, there's some playmakers on that defense for Tennessee. Justin Simmons on the interior is really good. And they have some other pass rush help there. And I know they brought in a corner in free agency, so they're better. But I think the Jets need to show that they're able to have more sustained drives. They had that one awesome drive, third one where they scored the touchdown. That was their best drive of the game. They need that a little bit more in this one, and kind of just to get in their rhythm. It never felt like they were in a rhythm the whole night. So yeah, it's not like you're facing the worst defense in the NFL, but still at the same time, like, you are facing a team that's starting a young quarterback who just looks like he's willing to give the ball away. The pick 6 was one of the worst throws I've ever seen a quarterback make. So if they maybe steal a couple extra possessions and the defense starts to get their momentum going and their confidence back, I think that, it adds an extra element to the offense too.
Yeah, I really do. And I think that I'm expecting this offense to click. I mean, I'm not expecting them to light it up and put up 35 plus points or anything, but I think I went into the 49ers game saying that the way that we pull off the upset is the defense needs to carry us, and they did not, which is why we lost. I did not expect the offense to go out there in San Francisco and light it up. But now, I don't care that the Tennessee Titans did not give up a touchdown against the Bears. It does not move me, okay? It's a rookie quarterback in his debut. It's Caleb Williams, and I know there's a lot of hype around the Chicago Bears and everything, but you're talking about a rookie debut, can be spoiled like all the time. This is Aaron Rodgers we're talking about. Okay, there's no confusing Aaron Rodgers at the line of scrimmage like they confuse Caleb Williams, right? The only thing that Caleb Williams has over Rodgers is his mobility and his athleticism to escape pressure. That's the one thing Caleb Williams has over Rodgers. Outside of that, there's nothing Caleb Williams has over Aaron Rodgers at this point. So I think it's really up to Rodgers to kind of take this offense and run with it and start calling his own number, man. Checking at the line of scrimmage more often, feeding Garrett Wilson as well. Because after that drive, when they scored and he had 4 catches on the drive, I'm like, bro, Garrett's going to finish with like a Cooper Kupp type of game. Like, can we start using Garrett Wilson like Cooper Kupp? Can we start doing that, Matt? Now, you see what the Rams did on Sunday night? It's like 21 targets. Like, that's how I want them to, I want to see them using Garrett like Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I mean, he's talented enough for that. And I think even Rodgers hinted at that on the McAfee show yesterday. So I would not be surprised if we see like double-digit targets for Garrett Wilson pretty consistently. In the first half, it looked like that's how it was going to be, and then I don't know, things kind of changed as the game went on. But what excited me about the Rodgers and Garrett Wilson connection was just how much he fed him the rock on third down. It just felt like, they got into third and long situations, and he knew he was going to Garrett Wilson. Garrett got open and made a play, and I expect a lot more of that this week and beyond.
Me too, man. Me too. So, guys, I did want to give a big shout out to the proud sportsbook sponsor of the Roundtable here on AFC's Roundtable. That is BetUS Sportsbook, folks. You guys can get a 150% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. All you got to do is use promo code YouTube150 when you sign up for BetUS, the #1 online sportsbook in the industry, folks. Fast payouts, and we're really, really fortunate to be partnered up with BetUS. They have some prop bets that I want to talk to Matt about for this upcoming game. So these are touchdowns. So they got Breece Hall to score a touchdown is at -200. So they are very likely that Breece gets in the end zone, man. Very, very likely. Garrett Wilson's at +160. Okay. Even Breece to score twice is at +250, which is like kind of low, right? You got Lazard at +350 to get in the end zone again. Wow. +2,900 for Lazard to score twice like he did last week. Who do you got scoring touchdowns for the New York Jets this week, Matt?
Yeah, there is just no value on laying the 200 for Breece Hall to get in the end zone. So we're going to skip over that one. I think we'll go to the plus money for Garrett Wilson. Just because Aaron Rodgers made note of it this week. We saw in the first half how much they were focusing on getting Garrett Wilson the football. My money would be on him to get in the end zone.
So we got Garrett Wilson getting in the end zone. And let's see what else they got here. I think that they don't have the yards up yet. So who else is going to get in the end zone? Could Garrett get 2, Matt? I don't know. That's a lot. That's a +850 for 2.
It is a lot. Unfortunately, through the first 2 years of Garrett Wilson's career, he hasn't gotten in the end zone a ton because the quarterback play has been really bad. But it'd be really nice to get him a 2 touchdown game. That'd be a lot of fun. I don't know. Tyler Conklin's jumping out to me. I know he didn't have any catches, but like I feel like he's got to come crashing to the mean here, hard the other way.
You know what I'm going to do? We're going to do Garrett Wilson, and then we're going to go Lazard. I think Lazard's going to do it again. You know what? I think Lazard's going to do it again. I think Rodgers just feeds him the rock. Garrett Wilson and Lazard scoring is at +1050. All right, so you put $50 in at 575. And then if you had Conklin, that's a 3 touchdown day for Rodgers, but that's a big, big, big parlay. Garrett Wilson, Al Lazard, and Conklin. That's a big payday right there. Plus $4,700, $50 wins you $2,400.
So we'll get rich, Richie. We'll
get rich. You know what? We're doing it, Matt. Plus, this is an Aaron Rodgers 3 touchdown day. Conklin, Lazard, and Garrett Wilson. I'm all in with it. Let's go, guys. Go to BetUS and make your bets. I'm curious what the line is for this game, too. I have no idea. Honestly, I did not check it yet. The Jets are favoriting.
There we go. Am I getting a cut when that hits?
Oh, yeah, you are. Okay, come on now. You're getting a cut when that hits.
Come on now.
Now we're rooting for a Rodgers, Conklin, Lazard, and Garrett Wilson touchdown. Now the Jets are at -3.5, so they're favorited on the road, man. That's rare to be favorites on the road. The same spread, actually, the Seahawks on the road against the Patriots after the Patriots beat the Bengals. What's your thoughts of the spread?
I think it's fair. And And the Jets being favorites in this one isn't surprising. They have a responsibility though. They have to go on the road and take care of business and win this game. They're the better team on paper. They have a better quarterback. They have a better defense. Tennessee's in a bit of a transition. They have a young quarterback who, I pointed it out earlier, but it really has some turnover issues that scare me. How my recipe for this game would be: let Will Levis beat you. I know Tennessee is going to want to run the ball. They did a great job of that against Chicago. They ran for over 5 yards a carry, 140 yards. Their offensive line coach is one of the best in football, and Bill Callahan. So put 8-9 guys in the box and dare Will Levis to beat you deep.
I like that. I like that a lot. What do you expect from the rest of the AFC East this week? So we got Bills Dolphins tomorrow night. That's a big game, man. Within the AFC East, we saw the Bills and the Dolphins both come away with W's. Good thing is both of them will not be 2-0 after this week, and hopefully we'll be tied with one of them after the Jets beat the Titans. All right, Matt, who you got? Dolphins, Bills in Miami, Thursday Night Football.
Well, Josh Allen owns the Miami Dolphins, so I don't know how I'm going to pick against Josh Allen and the Bills in this one. Until proven otherwise, I'm going to continue to ride the Bills in these matchups. Dolphins, again, showed a strong second half to me. They were resilient. They got that turnover. It ended up being a 14-point swing. That was really big, but until they prove that, a Tua Tagovailoa-led Dolphins team can beat the Bills, I'm going to ride with them.
Yeah, and I feel like that's how I feel too. I mean, how many games in a row have the Bills won over the Dolphins? Last year was the Dolphins' chance to dethrone the Bills. Not only did they crumble the division, but they had a chance at the end of the season to beat the Bills and win the division. They didn't. So, listen, I feel like Dolphins fans need to realize there's a reason why everyone's picking the Dolphins to lose this game, because history shows that the Bills basically own the Dolphins. And until proven otherwise, I'm going to ride with the Bills in this game as well. I think that the Bills showed a lot more than the Dolphins did. I think that Josh Allen showed more. I know that he's dealing with an injury. I'm curious to see what that looks like. But listen, the Dolphins really have to be in their A game in this one. And this is a big game early on in the season. And I think that the Dolphins, if they win this game, then people are going to start really taking them serious. This is the game where if you're a Dolphins fan, this is the biggest game. I know it's just week 2, but if you want to become that team in the AFC East that sparks fear in this division, you got to win this game. Because if the Buffalo Bills win, then no one's taking the Dolphins seriously still. It's just the reality of it. You beat the Jaguars at the game you're supposed to beat, and then you're at home against your division rival who owns you already and win the division the last 4 years. That's what it's going to come down to. So I feel like it's going to be a bloodbath. I think it's going to be a fun, tight game.
Yeah, I was just looking at the number. I saw the stat on Twitter, and I want to pull it up. He's in 13 career games, 11-2, 336 total yards per game, 3.2 total touchdowns per game, 1.0 turnovers per game, 65.7 completion percentage, 108.7 quarterback rating. I mean,
that's Josh Allen against the Dolphins?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it gets much more dominant than that.
11-2. Wow, that's big. Hennessy with a $2. A-Rod looked comfortable after the sack. That's a plus. That is a plus. When he got hit, I was holding my breath, just like every Jets fan. And he got up, and he was okay. And he took more than one hit. Took 2 hits, and that's the minimum, okay? Or excuse me, that's the maximum we want to see him get hit a game is twice, okay? Good to see that. Hennessy, appreciate the super chat, brother. Really do appreciate it. So let us know in the chat who you got winning tomorrow night's game, Dolphins, Bills. Obviously, we have Dolphins fans in the chat riding out for their Dolphins, as they should. And we shall see. Now, do the Patriots have a chance to go 2-0, Matt? I mean, they're home against the Seahawks. The Seahawks, it was a close game with the Seahawks and the Broncos, and then they eventually came out with the W, spoiling Bo Nix's debut on the road. Bo Nix being on the road in Seattle. Now, Seattle has to go all the way to the East Coast. Dude, if the Patriots win this game and they are 2-0 going into the Jets game on Thursday night and we're 1-1, bro, that's going to be crazy. What's your thoughts about this Patriots-Seahawks game?
Yeah, that'd be something if New England pulls this one off. I think Seattle wins this game. I was impressed with what we saw from them. I know against Denver, like Bo Nix really struggled and didn't look right, but I think we're going to see Geno Smith look comfortable. I think they'll lean on Kenneth Walker, who had a really strong game in week one, had 20 carries for 103 yards and a touchdown. Geno Smith was using his legs. I thought passing, he was extremely efficient. He only threw the ball 25 times, but completed over 70% of his passes, 171 yards. I think they take care of business on the road. I don't think it's a pretty one. Like, I don't think it's a blowout and they put up massive numbers, but I don't know, 20-16, something like that. Just taking care of business on the road.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker is questionable in the game. I know that because he's my fantasy running back, so hopefully he's going to be good. He's got an abdominal injury, and that's an injury you can usually play through. So hopefully Kenneth Walker is okay, and he can go in there and run all over the Patriots, because the Patriots are a team, man, that they're inspiring. They're one of those teams that's in rebuild mode, new head coach. Everything's fresh. Everything's new. They're playing inspired football, and I think that they're a team that's built to upset squads like the Bengals. And I think that they got their upset of the season. Maybe they have another one underneath their belt, but I feel like their offense is limited. Their run game is very good. That's another thing we got to give them credit for. They can run the football. Ramondre Stevenson is still that guy. They extended him for a reason. They're a smash mouth, ground and pound, like classic old school football team with a veteran quarterback in Jacoby Brissett. So we shall see. And I got the Seahawks winning that game as well. I think that the Seahawks are a sleeper this year, honestly. I think Geno Smith has all the weapons he needs around him, a dynamic running back with DK, JSN, Lockett is still there, Noah Fant, I believe, and their defense is no slouch either. So we're going to have to see Seattle later on in the season, I believe. So we'll see how they looking, but I got the Seahawks in this one as well. And then hopefully it's a one-on-one matchup, Jets-Patriots heading into Thursday night.
Yeah, that would be a huge, no matter what happens for either of these teams, it's a huge game for the Jets and the home opener, but especially if the Jets win and if somehow New England wins this game and they're 2-0, the stakes are going to feel just that much higher in this third game.
Oh my God. Can you imagine that? I hope not. I mean, ideally, it doesn't really matter who wins tomorrow for the Jets, because Dolphins, Bills, one of them will be 2-0. The other one will be 1-1 unless there's a tie, which no one's expecting. And then if the Jets beat the Titans and the Patriots lose, then the division's basically like, one team will be in first place, either the Bills or the Dolphins at 2-0, and then it'll be 1-1 all across. That's what we're hoping for as Jets fans, to be 1-1 and to be tied in second place heading into week number 3. And then hopefully the Jets beat the Patriots and become 2-1, and the Patriots go down to 1-2, and then we're going in. Like, the one thing about this Jets schedule, Matt, that like you look at the matchups and it's favorable, but the one thing that's not in our favor is the timing of these games. We have a short week, back-to-back road games start the season, and we're playing 3 games in 10 days. 3 games. First game on a Monday night, second game on Sunday, the third game on Thursday. And then we have to go to London and then play on Monday night the next week with no bye. So what's your thoughts of the Jets schedule? Because it's favorable from a matchup standpoint, but not favorable from travel and like just timing of it.
Yeah, look, if you're going to be a good team, if you want to have all the expectations, you got to figure out a way to win despite those circumstances. Like you said, it's not easy to go all the way out to California and then back home to Jersey and then fly down to Tennessee and play a game and then have a short week at home for the home opener. Like that's a lot, but good teams find a way. And I'd feel worse if this was like, hey, now you got to go to Miami and then the home opener is against Buffalo and you're playing like teams who have playoff aspirations. I don't think Tennessee or New England are going to end up being playoff teams this year. So beat the teams that you're supposed to, even in circumstances that might not be ideal. That's my take on it.
So when it comes to this Jets-Titans game, let's focus a little bit more on that. Like, what should Jets fans' expectations be? Because some Jets fans are kind of already punting on their expectations. Like, you know what? I don't want to expect anything good with this team, and I want to be proven wrong. And some fans are like, nah, bro, we're about to kill the Titans. Like, what do you think this game is going to be like? Does this team have what it takes? And it's kind of hard to predict this, but like, is there a chance where everything just clicks and we got our, faces punched in on Monday night, and we needed that just to all of a sudden we become a dominant football team and we win this game 35-10? Like, I'm not expecting that. But there's some fans that want to see that, obviously. Like, when it comes to the Jets-Titans game, what type of matchup do you think it is from a matchup standpoint, coaching standpoint, and how do you think this game is going to go?
So, what you were just laying out there, I do think there's a chance that could happen. I mean, we saw with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay during his MVP seasons, they got off to slow starts, losing the first game of the year, and then they end up as a 13-win team. Tom Brady in his first year with Tampa Bay, they got blown out that first game. He didn't look very good, and then he goes on and wins a Super Bowl. So week one doesn't tell the story on your whole season, and it really is a week-to-week league. But I do think this is a good opportunity for the defense to bounce back. I'm not going to say that it's easy because, I mentioned their offensive line coach in Tennessee, and their running game with the two-headed monster that they have with Pollard and Spears. I think that's going to be their game plan. And the Jets just put on tape that they were really bad against the run, but good test to bounce back. I'm going to say way too early score prediction, 24-16, something like that. I think they win by like 8 to 10 points.
And the defense, are we going to be feeling good about this defense after that game? It seems like at a 16 points.
Yeah, I would say so. If they hold their opponent to under 20 points, I think they're able to get Levis to turn the ball over at some point as well. And if they do that, steal an extra possession. But I think this is a game that's going to get Jet fans feeling a little bit more confident. I don't know. I'm not saying
man.
It would be nice to get like 38-3, like a complete real blowout, dominant effort. I'm not going to go that far. I don't think that's fair or giving enough respect to this Tennessee team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But I think they take care of business and win a game on the road that they're supposed to.
Let's go, baby. I agree. The Jets going to go out there and take care of business. I'm not going to predict no blowout because that would be crazy. But I do think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be one of those games that come down to the wire. And I think it's going to end with the Jets defense getting the stop to win the game. I think it's going to be one of those where the Jets get the lead in the fourth quarter and they got to shut down Will Levis in that offense to prevent them to go down the field and score. And I'm predicting a sack to win the game. And the defense wakes up. The Jets fans feel good about the defense. The offense does enough to win the game with the final score of 21-17. So that's my prediction. I got all week to kind of change my prediction or not, but we shall see. Folks, we appreciate you all tuning into the Jets Roundtable. We're live every single Wednesday around 1 p.m. EST with my boy Matt O'Leary and myself, and then whoever else wants to join. So we shall see what happens this week. We had a big AFC East matchup tomorrow night. We have the AFC East Roundtable tonight, and then we're back on the AFC East SmackDown next Monday that Matt will be joining as well on the Autograph app, so we'll see you guys there. Matt, always a pleasure to have you on the Jets Roundtable. Anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here, my man?
Yeah, I know that everyone's down on the Jets after week one. Don't let week one overreactions kill your vibe. Most people, I think, expected the Jets to lose this game. And I think the Jets are an 11 or 12 win team. I thought they were going to lose in week one. For me, that hasn't changed. I still think this is a team that's going to win 11 or 12 games and compete for the division. So get excited, guys. Back in the win column this week.
Back in the win column this week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like the show and subscribe here on the AFC East Roundtable and subscribe to Matt O'Leary's YouTube channel and Jets Media. Of course, we'll see you guys next week on the Jets Roundtable. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace out, folks.